Let the consummation of November begin!
Let the games begin!
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Reese's Writing YouTube channel. Today we're going to be going through what I've read, what I've watched in November. A wrap up, if you will. So I think we'll just have to get into it because there's a lot to go through from everything. So we'll start with paper reads. So I started the month off by finishing Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. Oh, Ray Bradbury's so good. He's just amazing. I don't know, he's so poetic. His prose are great. The feeling of like positivity that comes from him is I don't see it too much. It's like, I don't know, it's nice. It's a nice feeling when reading a Ray Bradbury book. I mean, there's obviously some dark notes to it. This is about a circus that comes to town in like around October, around Halloween time, and they start, doing weird stuff, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's so good. A lot of descriptions of like weather and things that I like autumn and books and libraries and things like that. So yeah, really enjoying it. Really enjoyed the book, and Ray Bradbury's style of writing is really enjoyable to me. Yeah, I can see it sort of dragging at some point. Around the middle-y area. I didn't quite know where it was going to go, where it wanted to go, almost. And I kind of feel like that might happen with Ray Bradbury sometimes. Because, I don't know, he's a short story type of author, right? So I think he's really good at setting things up. And he's got a good way of sort of rounding things off. Yeah, this kind of sort of slowed down a bit of the sort of middle to going on a bit further on. So, yeah. Anyway, I would give Something Wicked This Way Comes 4 stars. And then I read Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is for a video that's coming up soon, so I won't go into too much, but, it's a classic. You can't beat a bit of Dracula. The sort of accounts journal thing, very Victorian style, writing letters to people back and forth, and it gave it a really good ominous feeling to it, a sense of just doom and destruction, and the way it's sort of writ, is very gothic, very Victorian, very emotive, and exaggerated. Like the landscape really highlights the feeling of darkness that sort of shadows over everyone. Whitby is a very like sort of tidally, it's like very on cliffs, and it's got a big sort of cathedral that's ruined. And yeah, I will do a video, but I watched Nosferatu and Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola, and they didn't use Whitby. I mean, the Nosferatu from 1930s is in Germany, and the Bram Stoker one they use like somewhere in London, so they kind of kept it sort of more recognisable to the viewers. So I found that quite interesting that they sort of changed it to like suit the viewers. But yeah, this is a really good book, really enjoyable. As with, I was expecting one of my favorite books is Frankenstein, and I just flew by that. It was so good. So I was expecting Dracula to be a little bit like that, and it was. It had the sort of accounts, the different letters and things, but this was a lot slower, a lot more monotonous, and going back and forth between letters and things. So when Frankenstein I zoomed through it, it's amazing. So I'd give Dracula, yet again, 4 stars. And then I had a DNF. I had a DNF. Brian Aldiss's report on probability A. I feel like I was looking for something a bit more faster paced. And this is a really slow start. If you're looking for something that's, quite short and punchy, this starts so dreary. And for good and for reasons. For obvious reasons. They're setting up this monotonous type feeling of the town and going to certain places all the time. But I just wasn't feeling it at the time I picked this up. And maybe I would pick it up later on and, might enjoy it. But I just couldn't get through the beginning. The beginning was really, really dry and boring. So I just stopped that and went on to... I actually had another sort of... I didn't even start it, but I just thought that I would... read this when I had the rest of the series. This is the edition of Muzak by Michael Moorcock, and I just thought I would read this when I got the rest of the series, or read the rest of the series. The 5th book, and this is the final book, and so I just decided to stop that, and I did actually listen to some Michael Moorcock, which we'll get onto. So I didn't read that. I'll read that when I get the rest of the series. So then I went on to Alistair Reynolds' Diamond Dogs Turquoise Days. These are 2 novellas based in the Revelation Space world. I think they may be time-wise, I think they may be before before Redemption Arc. I don't know where Diamond Dogs is, actually. I don't know where Diamond Dogs is in terms of the chronological order of it, the periods and time frames, but I believe Turquoise Days is 1.5, so it's in between Revelation Space and Redemption Arc. I really enjoyed Diamond Dogs. Diamond Dogs was really good. A really good just quest, going to this big spire type looking thing that has a lot of mystery behind it, why it's there. People have gone there in the past and gone into the spire and then been spat out dead, and this guy has become sort of obsessed with it, and he wants to obsessed with the mystery behind it all, and wants to bring in people that have certain assets that would help him get into the spire, because there's been a few people that have sort of come out and then gone back in, and they've put their accounts on, and they have puzzles in there. There's mathematical equations and things there. It doesn't get too bogged down in that sort of equation type puzzly thing, which is really good. I didn't really want to get bogged down in science and maths. I really enjoyed Diamond Dogs. Turquoise Days, I didn't enjoy it as much, but it gave a bit more breadth to the jugglers, which are sort of this alien race that sort of comes, that's kind of there always. It really makes an impact on everyone that sort of goes into this water where the jugglers are. It's sort of an algae type alien, and when people come out, they're forever changed. They feel different. It impacts people differently, and this gave some sort of breadth to the jugglers. How people interact with them when they do go into this pool, into the water, which they didn't in the past. Alistair Reynolds didn't really do that in the past. But I kind of like the ending. I kind of like the beginning. There was a cool part that the main character goes into like this city, and there's like this celebratory welcoming for this big spaceship that's coming into land, and that was quite cool, that sort of celebration thing written in. But yeah, I really enjoyed the two novellas, so I would give that another 4 stars. It's all 4s these days. And then I am pretty much finished with Martha Quest by Doris Lessing, and I wasn't really expecting to like it, to be honest. It was a bit of a shoot in the dark. I enjoyed the first book that I read. I didn't love it. I thought there was some really bizarre things in the first book, which is Briefing for a Descent into Darkness, which I think I've got in every video that I've done. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it, actually. I'm really enjoying how Doris Lessing describes this young girl that's being brought up in Africa. She's like sort of a British expat that's come in, and they've like taken over, or started to colonize. It's based in between World War One and World War Two, so it's sort of this like moment where they've come out of World War One, they're really happy, everyone's like going to parties and things, especially the young community, which this is sort of focused on. They go to a lot of sort of parties. It's in this small town that's just sort of building up, but it has a lot of really sort of realistic, kind of realistic relationship type things, stuff that you don't always see. Like, I think romantic things can be really really like romanticized. Yeah, like, and this has a really down to earth look at growing up and dealing with awful mother and a father that doesn't really do much, sort of tries to keep the peace, and the sort of conflict that happens between mother and daughter, and the limitations and being held down by your mum, and breaking out of those chains, but then coming across other chains and other problems with sort of youth socials and like young adult problems, and sex, and like being beautiful. And I think it really for me, it describes it well. Like, I can understand it. I can like empathize with a main protagonist, which I was a bit hesitant about whether or not I would, but Doris Lessing does a really good job for me in like getting it in a way that I can understand, and I can sort of understand this character and make it enjoyable as well, like make it good to read. So yeah, I'm nearly finished with that, but I think that will be another 4 stars. Okay, so that was the paperbacks that I read this month, and then now we're on to the audiobooks. So I started off this month with The Black Heart Man by Neola Hopkins, I think's her name. So this book is about a magical island of Chin Chin. It's sort of, I believe, in the Caribbean or in that area. It's got a lot of sort of folklore about it, and the Black Heart Man is in itself a folklore from Neola Hopkins, is like where she grew up, and like I'm not entirely sure about where, but there is a folklore called the Black Cart Man. I originally heard this from Between the Covers, which is a podcast that interviews authors. And I liked the book. I liked the folklore and the sort of way it was weaved in, and the way sort of magic was all sort of real, weaved into the world, and the towns and the city, or the towns and the people and the culture. I found it very tough to keep track of what was going on. I think this was a tough one to listen to for me. There was a lot of words that were part of this made up or sort of almost alternative island in the area. There was a lot of specific words that were made up, and specific characters, and a lot of things going on that I didn't quite keep a hold of. But I liked the whole world, the sort of magical realist about it, and this looming sort of fear of war dipped in and out of like what was going on. I almost sort of forgot about it around the middle, that there was like a looming sense of potential war between this other country that's coming in. They've stopped the nutmeg trade, I believe it is. There's bits that are sort of based on real life history, but set in this magical realist world. And I would probably want to read it again, potentially paperback if I did find it. Potentially, I would just listen to it again and sort of pick up the stuff that I missed. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I would give it 3 stars. Yeah. Oh God, I'm looking for paper, but there's no paper. And then I went on to, what did I go on to? So I sort of dipped in and out of reading paper and audio for Dracula just to sort of get on with it. And I enjoyed the audiobook for Dracula. It was sort of a ensemble cast of different people, and there was a little bit of music here and there, and I thought that was pretty good. It worked well with the sort of journal entry-esque feel of it all. And then I went on to Carmilla, which is a prerequisite almost to Dracula, sort of vampire story that I believe kind of influenced Bram Stoker. And this is sort of about a lesbian vampire that is sort of fallen in love with this younger girl. I'm not sure of ages, but this was a young girl, and she was falling in love with her, and she was like trying to do vampire stuff to her, and she was struggling because she was infatuated with her. And yeah, that whole sort of romantic feeling for vampires, this is what was on there. I won't go into much detail because I have got a video coming out about sort of Dracula soon, so I won't go into much detail, but I would give that also 3 stars. I quite liked it. Quite gothic and romantic, and Camilla's by Sheridan Le Fanu. I listened to the Elric saga, so this is the first 3 books. The Elric of Melnibone is a fantasy series created by Michael Moorcock, so that's the other Michael Moorcock that I got into instead of The Condition of Muzak. And this is a big like classic fantasy series, I believe, from Michael Moorcock. There's loads of work. There's been spin-offs and people that have put their spin on. Yeah, I also enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the whole world and the lore about sort of chaotic gods and lawful gods, and the battle between them, and this sword. I think the sword was cool. Stormbringer is the name of the sword. really enjoyed that, how like it was this sort of entity created by the chaotic gods, and it sort of is almost kind of like a vampire in itself, as it needs blood to sort of feed its chaos almost, or like its violence. I enjoyed the characters that came along. It was very quest based, so like each story, Elric would just be sauntering around, and then he would come across a band of warriors or a ship or something like that, and would go on these sort of quests or journeys. And there was a lot of like hidden gods and beings that they would sort of call upon if they needed them. Felt too kind of quest based for me. I would prefer sort of maybe an overarching story, and it sort of hinted at it, but it was mainly set in these quests. I would have preferred maybe more sort of development of a certain relationship or characters, maybe more look into Elric and having him actually like vulnerable. It kind of felt like as soon as he got into danger, it kind of felt like he could get out of it quite easily somehow. And I guess that's just me looking into stories too much, is that I don't know, I felt this kind of felt a bit too formulaic for me. But I enjoyed the world and the lore behind it. It wasn't too fighting heavy. There wasn't too many big wars and things like that. I gave Elric of Melnibone 3 stars. I thought it was a pretty good introduction to the world, but I didn't think it was all that amazing. I don't know. And then I gave the Fortress of the Pearl 3 stars. Sort of similar feeling. I preferred the Sailor on the Seas of Fate. I preferred that sort of like ship-esque, and the sort of gods in that. They're all sort of blending in because they're all like in this one audiobook. I liked the narrator as well. He felt rather epic. He sounded epic. There was a lot of parts that were like really hitting your face. Like he didn't, I don't know, he just sounded pretty epic to me. The Weird of the White Wolf, which was the final one, as a 4 stars as well. I think I would give the final 2 like 3.5 maybe, actually 3.5 stars. They were entertaining, they were good, but I didn't really feel connected all that much to them. Annihilation, which is Jeff Vandermeer's first book in the Southern Reach trilogy, and I also really enjoyed this. So this is about a woman called, I forgot her name. It's a good idea, a good mystery, with the whole exclusion zone and hypnosis, whether or not this thing is created by hypnosis, or like whether or not this exclusion zone actually exists, or whether or not it's sort of a bit of a cover-up maybe, or like something they don't want to get out. So they use hypnosis for them to get into the border. They're not sure why, and there's a lot of questioning about that. I enjoyed it. I thought the narrator was very quick and very like to the point. There wasn't much emphasis on things to me. I don't know if it is because I went from Elric, which was full on emphasis of epicness, or there wasn't much pausing. She was very sort of monotone throughout it all, and but besides that, the story's good. It's got a really good premise, and a really good idea for a story of like what's going on here. It's all sort of growing and morphing, and like, yeah, it's a really cool idea for a story. I think it's very similar to Roadside Picnic, which is Boriston Strugatsky and the Strugatsky brothers sort of thing. I haven't read it, but I really need to read it. It's the Stalker film. Annihilation, good. I would give it 4 stars. Even though it did feel like a bit disconnected, but there was a point to it. It was like sort of accounts of a scientist. I would give it 4 stars. And now I'm reading Authority, which is the second book in the Southern Reach trilogy, and enjoying it so far. I don't think it's got as good as reviews as Annihilation. I think it may feel a bit slow, like a bit ploddy at times. It's very like go into this and then this and that. Yeah, kind of information-y based, which I can see after a time sort of maybe slowing things down. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. So that is what I'm reading / listening to. And then films. So I started off November by going to see Heretic, which is a film with Hugh Grant, directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. 2 missionaries from like the Mormon church go to this guy's house and wants to talk about God, and it goes downhill from there. I'm sure quite a lot of you have watched the trailer and things. I really dug this. I really dug the idea, and I love discussions on religion and the sort of scientific or like research or like studying of religion in the backgrounds, or like this sort of massive thing that's come out from almost people's beliefs in something to hold on to, like if there's something after death. It's all sort of scaled from that, and like yeah, I just love discussing that and reading or watching things about that. So that's sort of the main premise, and then he locks them in, gets them to do sort of tasks or things like that. I thought by the trailer it kind of had the sort of feeling of Saw or maybe Escape Room, where they had sort of puzzles to do, and that kind of maybe put me off. I thought maybe this is going to be too heavy on the puzzle element, trying to find a freaking hidden key or some bullshit like that. And I really I'm not a big fan of puzzles, or especially in stories. I don't think they give much to a plot. I feel like the plot is a puzzle in itself. I don't need another puzzle. I'm glad they didn't focus on that. They focused much more on sort of what the hell was going on in this weird house and this weird guy. I would give it 4 stars. 4 stars. I went on to The Conversation by Francis Ford Coppola. I also really enjoyed this film. This is in 1974, I believe it is. I think that's when it was made. It's about this one conversation in a park with a couple, and this guy is recording it for some reason. I think he had a job. He had a job to do it by someone, or like a paid job almost. He's sort of a detective almost, and he's been told to eavesdrop on this couple in a park, and it sort of spirals out of there, and like how this one conversation can morph and manipulate and change the context depending on what's been discovered is really interesting. That idea of just this one simple conversation where there's bits that are sort of maybe missed out or not heard because of the technology, and someone wasn't there at a certain time, and then discovering a little bit more about the background of these characters and their motivations can really change what they say, what the meaning behind something they've said. I really liked that. It was almost like challenges, which I reviewed in the October wrap up, how this one sort of tennis match can change depending on the background that we know about. But this was a really good sort of thriller based on one conversation and diving into the like criminal, like the crimes and something more sinister going on in the background. Yes, I would give Conversation 4 stars. Again, I'm on the 4 train today. Being John Malkovich by Spike Jonze. Is that his name? Spike Jonze with a Z? Yeah, this is sort of a classic. The Conversation is a classic. But this is a quirky classic about this weird tunnel that if you go into the tunnel, you see what John Malkovich is doing and feeling, and they get a hold of that and use it to their advantage. And it's about this sort of love triangle almost, and this guy who's sort of down on his luck, and this bizarre ass office that the ceilings are too low, and I really enjoyed it. It was quirky, it was offbeat, like there was some really weird moments, and the office was bizarre, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And a sort of mundane feeling, and then getting this really bizarre point that flips the whole thing on its head. There was that 90s-esque quirkiness about it that worked, and monkeys and crazy. I put it in a similar like feeling as Requiem for a Dream. It was sort of similar. I would probably say maybe Donnie Darko, but I haven't actually watched Donnie Darko. So in that sort of feeling, I enjoyed it. It was good fun. And then I went on to the 5 sci-fi films. So I'll link that in the little corner. I think it might be that corner. Go watch those 5. But I watched Ligeti, Strange Days, World on a Wire, Ikari XP1, and Belly of the Dragon. And usually I watch the thing. I won't go into much detail, but it was good to watch some early science fiction films that are a little bit not as known these days. I don't know if I'll put reviews. Maybe I'll just put my ratings here. And then what did I get up to then? Perfect Days by Wim Wenders. Wenders. Oh, this was amazing. It was great. It was such a peaceful watch. Like this guy. It's pretty much about a guy who cleans toilets in Tokyo, and it's following him day to day, his routine of getting up, getting a coffee, and cleaning these toilets in Tokyo. It sounds like it wouldn't make a good film, but the way it's done, the music, the vibe of it all, the guy being really positive, or like sense of life and enjoying life. And yeah, really good film. You should go watch it. I don't think I have much that I didn't like about it. I was this close to buying a tape player, but I didn't. I held off. I really like tape. I would probably enjoy buying tape and having a collection of tapes to listen to, but not right now, Reese. Not right now. So good. Just go watch it. I gave it 5 stars because I couldn't really think of anything really all that wrong with it. And it goes into some drama. I didn't expect it to go into some darker parts, but I think those are sort of necessary to make you really enjoy life more. And like, life is up and down. You get your bad times, you get your good times. That's a song, isn't it? Absorb it. You learn from the bad times and you enjoy the times that you have living, breathing, good days. Like, oh, why have you stopped, you bastard? This film is all about celebrating life, celebrating the little things in life, the small social things that happen on a day-to-day basis. Like this guy, someone puts noughts and crosses thing on a piece of paper, and he puts a cross every time he comes there every day, and the person that doesn't know who it is, I don't think you ever know who it is, they put a circle and they play a game of noughts and crosses. I found that really wholesome and really good. So yeah, 5 stars for Perfect Days. And the final thing, which I literally just watched, was Conclave by Edward Berger. And this is about Pope dies and Ray Fiennes. In my previous videos, I said Ralph Fiennes, I think. I'm sorry to any... I think it may be a British thing to say Rafe. I've been Americanized, okay? Yeah, Ray Fiennes is the guy who manages the conclave of deciding the new pope, and it's the tensions and the twists and turns about who's going to become pope and voting for the new pope, and like these sort of language barriers and the different countries that gravitate towards a certain leader to become pope, and the politics of that. And there's little like things that people try to plot against other contestants or like other people who are doing it. Really good fun, a good thriller. I never thought that there would be a conclave Big Brother, a Pope Big Brother, but there you go. Lots of tension. Ray Fiennes is the most stressed out man alive with the job he has to do. It's pretty much just based on that and trying to decide who should be the new Pope. And I won't go into too much of that. I think it's based on a book by Robert Harris. Yeah, I haven't read the book, but maybe I will give it a try at some point. I think it's probably quite the thriller. I would give Conclave 3.5 stars. I think the twists and the ending didn't hit the spot for me. It kind of, I don't know, didn't grab it. It was really building up. It was going up the roller coaster, going, yeah, I'm getting aboard, and then I reached the peak. I was like, yes, this is good. I'm really hooked on now. And then it went, and then just sort of puffed down on a small descent, if that makes sense. It didn't go like that. It just reached the pinnacle, and I was like, yeah, the ending let it down. That was the analysis of the roller coaster. Yeah. So what did you read? What did you listen to or watch in the month of November? Put them in the comment section down below, and I will reply with anything that I want to say. And I'll see you in the next video.